The Cincinnati Bengals are walking into the 2025 season with arguably the worst linebacker room in the entire NFL, and somehow, the people running this team are perfectly okay with that. Let that sink in for a second. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Here's what's wild. While every other contender in the AFC is busy upgrading their rosters, shoring up weaknesses, and making moves to compete at the highest level, the Bengals front office is sitting back, arms crossed, nodding their heads like everything is completely fine. It is not fine. And today, we're breaking down exactly why this defense is a ticking time bomb, why the coaching staff's confidence feels completely disconnected from reality, and what absolutely needs to happen before a single snap is played in the regular season. So the question you need to ask yourself right now is this: is blind faith in unproven young players actually a strategy, or is it just a disaster waiting to happen? The edge rush problem nobody wants to talk about. Let's start with the edge rusher situation because this is where things get really uncomfortable really fast. Shemar Stewart. First-round draft pick. High expectations coming out of college. The kind of player you draft and immediately start dreaming about sack numbers and quarterback pressure stats. Except, his rookie season was nothing short of a nightmare. Stewart played just 8 games last year. 8. And when he was out there, the performance was not what anyone hoped for. According to Pro Football Focus, he ranked dead last among all eligible edge rushers, 115th out of 115 players, with an overall grade of just 41. 2. That is the absolute bottom of the barrel. That is as low as it gets. Now, defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery has come out publicly and said he believes year 2 is going to be a massive turnaround for Stewart. He's talked about Stewart's growth, his off-season work, his health, and his commitment to the process. And look, nobody wants Stewart to succeed more than Bengal fans do. You drafted the guy. You want him to be something special. But here's the thing. Hope is not a defensive scheme. Potential doesn't stop running backs. And right now, ESPN's early depth chart projections already have Boy Mafe, one of the team's newest additions, lined up ahead of Stewart on the depth chart. That tells you everything you need to know about where Stewart currently stands heading into this offseason. Stewart will likely rotate in throughout the season, and a fully healthy year could absolutely change the conversation. But banking on a guy who graded out last in the entire league to suddenly become an elite edge presence, that's a massive gamble. But wait until you hear what's happening at the linebacker position, because that situation is somehow even more alarming. The linebacker room, a complete masterclass in denial. Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter. Those are your starting linebackers for the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Knight graded out at 40. 2 overall on PFF last season. Carter came in at 39. 5. To put that in perspective, both of those grades are worse than mediocre. Both of those grades scream that this linebacking unit needs serious, immediate help. Here's your comment challenge for today. Who do you think is more to blame for this linebacker disaster? The front office for not signing anyone, or the coaching staff for being too comfortable? Drop a name or a side below. I need to see where Bengal Nation stands on this. Now here's where it gets truly frustrating. Jeff Hobson, senior writer for the official Bengals team site, has come out and basically confirmed what a lot of fans feared. He's indicated that the team's internal belief is that Knight and Carter simply need to level up. That the young players have to ascend on their own. That this is the path forward, developing from within rather than going out and getting proven talent. And yeah, in a perfect world, that philosophy sounds great. Young players developing, growing, becoming stars. That's the dream. But this isn't a perfect world. And these aren't guys who showed flashes of brilliance that just need polishing. These are players who struggled significantly at the NFL level, in a unit that was widely considered the worst linebacking core in the entire league last season. Rock bottom is rock bottom. And while the only direction from there is theoretically up, you don't rebuild a championship defense by simply hoping your worst unit magically gets better on its own. The draft picture, and why it's not as clean as people think with the 10th overall pick in the upcoming draft, Nearly every mock draft in existence has the Bengals going quarterback. Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, and most projections specifically land on Dillon Gabriel as the pick that makes the most sense for Cincinnati's future at the position. And honestly, if that's the move they're making, it's a solid one. Gabriel fits the system. The pick makes sense. But here's the problem that pick creates downstream. Taking a quarterback at 10 essentially takes a linebacker off the board at that spot. And the one linebacker prospect who could genuinely transform this unit, Jihad Campbell, is almost certainly going to be gone before Cincinnati is even on the clock at 10. Unless the Bengals make a bold trade-up, that ship has likely already sailed. So what happens next? You slide into the second round. And yes, there is talent in the second round. Players like Jacob Rodriguez are names worth watching. But you have to be honest with yourself. Is a second-round linebacker pick a guaranteed upgrade over Knight or Carter? Not necessarily. Not automatically. That's just the reality of draft variance. Hobson himself even acknowledged that the team might not address linebacker through the draft at all right now. He suggested it could come through training camp battles or even a waiver wire pickup later in the process. Which is fine as a backup plan, but as a primary strategy for fixing your biggest defensive weakness. That's terrifying. But here's the name that keeps coming up. And it should keep coming up. The Bobby Wagner solution that nobody's pulling the trigger on. Bobby Wagner is still available. Bobby Wagner, a future Hall of Famer, a player who is still producing at an elite level that makes both Knight and Carter's stat lines look embarrassing by comparison, is sitting out there in free agency right now. The projected cost? Somewhere in the range of $7 million. The Bengals have the cap space to make that happen. This is not a pipe dream. This is a real, legitimate, affordable move that would immediately upgrade the most glaring weakness on this entire roster. Wagner brings experience, leadership, playmaking ability, and a proven track record that neither of the current starting linebackers can come close to matching. Signing him doesn't block the development of the young guys, it accelerates it. Having a veteran presence in that room pushes everyone to be better. The fact that this move hasn't happened yet is genuinely confusing. And the longer it doesn't happen, the more it feels like the front office really is just going to roll with what they have and hope for the best. The bottom line, is Bengal Nation okay with this? Here's where we land. The Bengals coaching staff and front office are publicly projecting confidence in a defensive group that finished last season as one of the weakest units in the entire NFL. The edge rush has a first-round pick who graded out 115th out of 115 players. The linebacker room has two starters who both graded below 41 on PFF. And the draft strategy at pick 10 is almost certainly going quarterback, which means linebacker help either comes late in the draft, through free agency, or not at all before opening day. That is a deeply uncomfortable place to be sitting with the regular season on the horizon. Bobby Wagner is available. Campbell might be reachable with a trade-up. There are options on the table. But right now, the vibe coming out of Cincinnati is one of comfort, and comfort with mediocrity is the enemy of a championship run. This Bengals roster has Joe Burrow. It has Ja'Marr Chase. It has the offensive firepower to compete with anyone in the league. But you cannot win in the postseason if your defense is giving up points on every other drive. The clock is ticking. The draft is days away. And Bengal Nation deserves better than a front office that seems perfectly fine standing still while the rest of the AFC gets stronger. Are you happy with this current defensive roster heading into the season? Because right now, the answer for a lot of people is a hard no. And that feeling is completely justified. Stay locked in. The draft is almost here. And when the picks start flying, we'll be breaking down every single move in real time. Don't miss it.